Live with CDP Sports Talk, a weekly sports and entertainment podcast sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet. Live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn. And on audio via Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, Anchor FM, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Radio Public, and TuneIn. Now, here's your host, Chris Palme.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to season 13, episode 31, overall 691 of Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, brought to you by our friends at Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership, located at 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Auto Mall. Check out their website, barrycullen.com, for the newest selection of new and pre-owned GM vehicles, along with their great selection of all-electric vehicles and Cadillac vehicles as well. You can call the dealership at 519-824-0210 and tell them Chris Palme sent you, or you can email them at info@barrycullen.com. Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership has been family run and operated here in the city of Guelph since 1969, and they have been a proud sponsor, advertiser of this show, Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, for the past 3.5 years. I hope everyone is doing well on Friday, April 10th, 2026, and I'm looking forward to my guest tonight. This is his first appearance, and I met him a couple weeks ago at the FMJ Foreigner Meets Journey tribute band in Fergus a couple weeks ago, and I'm glad to have him on tonight. His name is Mike Pelletier. He is the owner and president of the RPM Artist Group, and he's also a part of the FMJ tribute band for Foreigner and Journey as well. So we're going to bring on Mike Pelletier right now and talk a little bit about his career in the music industry and how he started up our RPM Artist Agency as well. Good evening, Mike. How you doing?
Great, Chris. Thanks for having me on.
And I forgot to do this. I do this with all my glasses.
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
Yes, StreamYard I use, and it's got all these new little gadgets on here. So I'm just trying to get used to all of them on here. But I want to say thank you so much, Mike, for coming on tonight.
My pleasure, Chris. Thanks for having me.
How are you doing and how things going in the world of music?
Things are going very well. As you mentioned, live concerts are selling nicely. I'm happy to say that there's an appetite for people to go out and enjoy music in an age where you have so many choices. People are still very interested in going out and having the live experience. So I'm very happy about that.
And to get away from the TV and the news as well, get an escape for a couple hours.
Absolutely. I think it's healthy for everyone to do that.
And how did your performance go in Port Colborne? I believe it was March 28th, right? Saturday, March 28th recently?
Yeah, thanks for asking. I think our best show ever, and the band has been around for 11 years. We had a fantastic audience, very enthusiastic for our first time there. We will certainly be back. Port Colborne, you can drive through it in a couple of minutes, but I think we probably had half of the town there. So very exciting and great welcome for us.
Mike, what makes a great audience?
That's a great question. I can see them singing along, number one, which is great, like right from the get-go. So I know we're doing something right because we picked the right material. So that's something good. They're attentive, but also engaged. In other words, they're not talking. I don't even mind if they have their cell phones out, if they're recording what we're doing. That's great. So participation, singing along, of course, getting up and dancing. Applause never goes out of style. That's a great thing. And then if I have the chance to talk to people at the end of the show and thank them for coming, that's something that I think is really important for us. So that's a great audience from my point of view.
It was a pleasure meeting you 3 weeks ago at the Fergus festival or grand festival, I guess, in Fergus. I
Yeah.
thought you guys did great that night.
Thank you. And that was our first theater show. So I appreciate your support and I appreciate the compliment. Uh, we're just going to get better as we go, and we will be back in Fergus sometime, hopefully later this year. So another great audience, great theater, great staff there. So shout out to Fergus; they're awesome.
Do you, even though you guys have been together for a while and you guys are experienced, do you guys still get a little butterflies, nervous before a live performance?
We don't get nervous; we're excited now.
Okay.
Right. There's a big difference. I mean, nerves has to do, I think, with maybe a little inexperience. We have plenty of that on stage. It has to do with maybe being underprepared, which we are not. I'm happy to say. It's just the excitement. I think that's probably a better way to describe it. And if there are any butterflies, it's because it's such an incredible thing to be able to do for us, the musicians, to be on stage and to participate with the audience. There's almost nothing better, Chris.
Hey, Mike, for a band, and you got a performance live ahead of time. Tell our audience about in terms of preparation, like a week before, even a couple weeks before a live performance.
Yeah, a couple of weeks out, I send out a set list to everybody because with in particular with Foreigner Meets Journey, we like to mix it up a little bit. There are certain things we will always play every time we go out, but I do like to mix it up for people who have seen us more than once or for material that I think is appropriate for the venue. So I sent out a set list a couple of weeks in advance. If we haven't played a show for a little bit, I'll generally have a rehearsal the week of the show. I'll go into the rehearsal with some music that I like to focus on. Sometimes it might just be a new arrangement we have, maybe some of the vocals, the background vocals I want to hear in a specific way. All of these little sort of details, Chris, that I like to get a handle on before we go into the theater. And that's what allows us to go into the theater and feel confident, right? It allows us not to be nervous and to feel excited.
Mike, what's the big
Go ahead.
Mike? Yeah, sorry about that. I think it was just a Wi-Fi glitch there, but wanted to
Okay.
ask you, what's the biggest difference between performing in a theater and a bar for you guys as a band?
Well, we have lots more space now, Chris. I mean, there's some bars we played in were almost right on top of each other. Number one. Number two, we have somebody working the sound. I mean, we've played in clubs. You can imagine what it's like to try and dial in sound and be on stage over here at the same time. Not an ideal situation. The thing that is different and the thing we enjoyed most about the bars was having the dance floor and having people dance and be really close to us. And, there was a lot of engagement there. So the theater just offers a different experience for anyone coming to see us. But, the theater is just more space, more sound. It allows us to approach the music a little bit differently, too. We can add a sort of theatrical or more show-like environment, and there are no cash registers, there's no other type of distractions that you would typically have in a bar. So we definitely prefer the theater, but we loved being in the bars. It was great.
Hey, Mike, can you tell us the process for booking gigs or booking now in theaters for
Yeah,
yourself?
yeah, great question. I i think if anybody wants to make the leap like we did, uh just be sure that you're ready from a playing and performance point of view. And maybe that sounds like an obvious thing to say, but make sure that you have that together first. Have good promotional material. Have some good video, some good audio, some good photos of yourself. And when you contact the theaters, I mean, their theaters are in the business of doing business, right? They want people to come and buy tickets. They want people to participate in their concessions and all of the other things that the theaters offer. Be professional, be polite, and strike when the iron is hot. If you have an offer and if you have dates, be very clear and very upfront right away. make the process as streamlined as possible, and you'll get good answers in a very timely fashion, and then you can book quickly, which is really important because dates move quickly.
How difficult can it be to book gigs with everybody in the bands having different schedules? How to try to get everyone on the same page for that certain date and time?
Yeah, that's a good question too. This is where technology being a great help, Chris. We all have Google calendars that we share amongst ourselves. So if somebody has another gig or any other type of commitment, they put it in the calendar, and it makes it really easy for me to go in and check availability. I know where everybody is at any given time, and once I see that I have a particular date in mind, I will still go out and confirm with everybody. And usually at the end of the process, it's a green light because we've done the work ahead of time. So technology and calendars has been extremely helpful.
Since you're talking about technology, how much of an impact has social media and the internet had on the music industry, specifically with your tribute band?
Well, what I've noticed is not everybody engages with every platform in the same way. So our audience is on Facebook. And if they don't happen to be on Instagram, I'm not going to force the issue. So my whole strategy is to go where my audience is and where they're engaging, and the places that allow my content to work the best. It's been great, Chris, to have social media. But I also use traditional media. I'll do some radio. I bought radio for the Fergus show and for the Paul Colborne show. That certainly helped sell tickets because I believe that audience still listens to the radio. At the very least, in their cars, they do, or maybe when people are working in their garage or something like that. So I'm kind of old school that way. I like using different media to get my message across. So
Being
technology is
diverse.
helpful. Yeah, diversifying your media, I think, is very important.
Now, what I want to say to you is, Mike, how I met you was through an advertisement through
Hmm.
Facebook. That's how I met you and your band, was through Facebook and your ads, and it impacted me as well as you.
I'm happy to hear that, Chris. A lot of times you don't get feedback from people, so knowing that what you're doing is working. I mean, it costs time and money to put out ads. So knowing that you noticed it and you reached out to me, it says I'm doing something right. That's great.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
Mike, can you tell our audience a little bit about yourself, and when did you get the bug for the music industry?
I was always obsessed with records. As long as I can remember, I was combing through my parents' record collection, and then I'd go to my cousin's house. They're a little older than me, and I go through their records too. There was just something about the gatefold and the art and just the music itself. Of course, I mean, I think that's an obvious one. So I kind of got the bug when I was very young, and I would go to the library. And yes, folks, the library still has lots of records there if you're ever interested. So I would take records out of the library, and it just sort of rolled into different things. I started to play music when I was in elementary school, and as soon as I could, I got a job at a record store. And then, I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more about this later, but I got a job in the music industry, something that I never ever thought would happen to somebody who just had a sort of a keen interest in record collecting and music in general. But yeah, that was a bit of a life changing moment for me.
How many records did you collect? Do you remember?
Yeah, it's coincidentally, I was in a record store today, and I was talking to the record store owner about my CD collection that I sold probably 5 years ago. I sold like about 15,000 CDs.
Wow.
Yeah, so I had lots of box sets and limited edition types of things, and all kinds of things. And prior to that, I had sold a lot of vinyl too. Not quite that much, but I kept a lot of my vinyl, and I'm glad I did because I still use it. So
Do you find the older you get, in my case, I'm 53, things always go back to what they were, especially with the return of the vinyl records?
yeah, it's interesting how these formats have a resurgence, and it's not a coincidence for you and I, Chris, that you know we're more interested in vinyl than we would be in CDs at this point. When I was in the record store today, I saw, I don't know, a guy maybe 25, 30, and he was interested in CDs, and I was like, why would you be interested in CDs? And he said, well, I kind of like to have something tangible that I can own, and I get that. For me, the sound of vinyl is something that I'm learning to reappreciate. I don't think I appreciated it at the time. So I think it's a cyclical, Chris. It's a generational sort of habit that we all have. We kind of get nostalgic a little bit.
Mike, I wanted to get your thoughts on this. I've heard from other people they find the quality of vinyl records playing is better than the CD.
Yeah, I personally do. Um, it's subjective to a point, but I could A/B a CD and vinyl for you, and what you will hear is something I like to describe as separation. So you can hear the instruments separated in a bit of a different way than you can on a CD. And most of your listeners probably also know something about compression. If you've ever tried to send an email and this file is too big, CDs are a compressed file for the most part. An analog record is an uncompressed listening experience. So you're getting the full range of what the artist intended to put on the record. So to me, on vinyl, you're getting a truer representation of what was intended.
Speaking of retro, do you find at some point CDs will come back again, like the vinyl records are, and cassettes too? I even remember 8 tracks.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, Going back to the young man I met in the record store today, he said he just bought a new car and had a CD player in it, so he wants some CDs. So a lot of times, I think your lifestyle will contribute to the types of formats you like to use. Because I work a lot from home when I'm not gigging, I have my record player just set up behind me here, so it's very easy for me to put on a record while I work. I don't drive around, I suppose, as much as I used to. So for that young man, having a bunch of CDs in his car is probably more suitable for him.
I'll be honest, my car I bought a couple years ago, brand new, no CD player. So I have satellite radio, but I kind of do miss having a CD player because I still have about 30 or 40 CDs in my home.
Exactly, exactly. And this young man was probably buying a 15-year-old car. It's probably his first car, right? And that's what it comes with. So he probably doesn't have any type of streaming interface in his car. So he's going old school, I guess, for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mike, who were some of your early influences and mentors in the music industry?
Influences for me, like when I was young, I was very into, I guess, what you and I would call classic rock, right? It wasn't so classic then. Q107 was probably my favorite station, so I was raised on Q107. Let's put it that way, and everything that goes along with that. And when I was in high school, I discovered jazz because uh, I joined the stage band and I played bass. I still do. So jazz sort of captured me in a different way than rock did. It was completely different, and I started listening to people like Oscar Peterson a lot, the great Canadian pianist. Lots of jazz bass players and bass players of every genre. That's those were sort of my formative years, and I've never really let go of either of them. I still listen to Zeppelin and the Who and Hendrix all the time. But I listen to jazz too. Most of my record listening is jazz records. So um, those are my early influences in my heroes. I've studied with some of the great jazz bassists in Toronto. I'm very fortunate to have done so. during my education, and yeah, still a great inspiration to me. Actually, I bought a record today for $10 with one of the teachers I had while I was at University of Toronto. So it's always it's something that sort of comes into your life, Chris, and it never leaves you.
What are your thoughts on today's jazz music, and who are some of the best jazz artists out there, in your opinion?
I'm very traditional in my jazz listening, Chris. There are lots of wonderful people experimenting with jazz and mixing it with hip hop and R&B, doing things, uh, bringing in large bands. Michael League and Snarky Puppy, they have sort of like a jazz big band, which I think is very interesting. But I like, good old piano, bass, drum trio, maybe add a saxophone here and there, playing jazz standards. I'm very traditional in my jazz listening in that way. So anybody who's doing that sort of thing generally keeps my interest, right? So just a sort of a fresh take on an old traditional idea, I suppose.
Can you tell us about being a graduate in jazz performance double bass at Humber College and what that
Yeah,
experience was like?
yeah. Well, Chris, I when I was 20 or so, 2021, I was quite sure that I was going to move to New York and I was going to be jazz bass player and I was going to be playing in all of these clubs and that was going to be it for me. I didn't really think much further than that. But then I realized that getting down to New York City not as easy as one might expect. Some of my friends did go down, and some of them are still there, and they had a great time doing that, and they made careers for themselves. My career path was a little bit different. So what started to happen, Chris, was that I was playing jazz, and I love doing that. But all the other music I mentioned, all the rock music, and I also love. If you play the bass, you love funk, you love soul music, you love all of those other sorts of things. So that started to come into my world too. So I just started to diversify my playing. So it wasn't just jazz playing. I started to, playing all kinds of bands, doing all kinds of different things, which has been really amazing. And I'm fortunate to have been lucky enough to do that.
Mike, for those people that are watching our show right now, live stream or on
Mhm.
audio platforms, and they're looking to get into the music industry, what advice would you give to those people from your experiences?
So just to clarify, because I think there's two ways you can go, Chris. You can go in as an artist, or you can go in as a music business person. Um, I'll tackle them both, and I'll try and be as succinct as
Okay.
possible. I think if you want to get into the music business, I think having business acumen is very important. Number one, and I think if you can marry business acumen with technology, with your knowledge of social media and digital marketing, I think you can have a career in the music industry. So that's one thing, and you have to work very hard because it's very, very, very competitive. If you want to be an artist in the music industry, I have some pretty simple formulas that I used to tell my students when I was at Humber College. When I was teaching there, we talked about some fundamental things like being a songwriter. I think is very important because as a singer, if I'm going to take one example, if you're a singer songwriter, you will get paid for performance, you will get paid for publishing, you will have many different streams by which you can gather income. So be a well-rounded performer. A lot of times people just see stagecraft. They see the stage. They don't necessarily see all of the different components that make somebody a complete artist. So I think you should strive to be complete in all ways. And I would also, if I'm going to bring both of them together a little bit, I would say every artist should have a basic knowledge of the music business and music industry. I think that will help them, uh, not get ripped off and help them make good decisions and bring some perspective and direction into their career.
Would you recommend somebody finding a manager or an agent?
Yeah, yes, an agent, a booking agent is important, when you're ready to do that. don't approach somebody if you've only written 4 songs. You're not ready yet to do at least a 45-minute set. So at least be sure you've got 45 minutes of material together and you have an audience. I mean, if I was booking you, I would like to know that people would actually come and see you. And I don't mind working with somebody who's growing an audience, and I can help people do that. I do that all the time. Um, but it's important to have some basic things happening for yourself, and that goes for management also. Approach a manager uh, only when you've done as much as you can do on your own. Again, if you've only written 3 or 4 songs, you're not ready for a manager yet. You should have written many, many more songs. You should have done a few shows. You should have an audience. You should have a social media presence. There should be a complete picture, a basic picture of who you are before you approach any manager. No manager will take you seriously if you haven't considered all of these different components. Because what it demonstrates to a manager is that you're willing to work hard and that you understand what it takes.
Mike, how would you describe yourself as a teacher?
I'm a very straightforward and honest person, just in general. And if anyone out there who knows me is listening, they know that to be true. And my teaching experience was that also. In the first week of the semester, one of the things I would always let the students know was, again, how difficult and competitive it is to be in the music business. And um, I needed to be straight with them about how little money they were going to make, at least for the first little while. I think this honesty and transparency in the music business, Chris, and I know that from the music side and from the player side, if you have a reputation for being honest and for being straightforward, you will always have a career. There are too many people making too many promises and and offering things that they cannot deliver. So I think if you manage expectations and you be clear with people, I think you're in good shape.
How important is having a strong mindset and a strong support system? Because you said before, the music industry is very competitive, just like the radio media industry. I just wanted
Mhm.
to get your thoughts on that too.
Yeah, I have a tremendous support from the musicians that I work with. I mean, they're not just people in my band. Uh, we're all doing this together. We all have a common goal. So I like to work with people who have this mindset, Chris. Right? I like to surround myself with good people who like to work hard, and philosophically have the same approach to performing. And you know what? That you could have done. You could have done 5,000 gigs, or you could have done 5 gigs. Um, all of that is important. It's really just a mindset. Um, You know, in terms of other supports, I mean, sometimes, Chris, working in the entertainment field, it can feel solitary at times. I spend many hours here at my desk sending emails and following up and looking at contracts and doing all kinds of other things. So I think it's important to step away a little bit, uh, have some exercise, spend time with friends and family. All of these things are important. I know too many people in the music business who have burned out trying to do too much too often.
Work life balance. How difficult can that be for some people?
Well, I've noticed, I've noticed, it's interesting, Chris. Some people I've noticed lately are doing too much life and not enough work, and vice versa. I work with people who work too much, as I mentioned. But I'm noticing, and it's interesting. Seems to be a swing in the other direction. I'm noticing at times a sort of a lack of motivation and a lack of work ethic, uh, and that's a whole sociological sort of different discussion. But it's interesting. I feel like the people who work hard, and I don't think this will ever change. The people who work hard and who are consistent, those are the people who will succeed, and that matters more than talent.
That goes into a lot of careers as well, especially the radio media industry. I might not have a piece of paper, but I feel that I work as hard as anybody out there and I love what I'm doing. It's not really work when you have a passion for it. And I say to other people in careers, not just what I'm doing, is
Mhm.
if you don't have a passion for what you're doing, it might be time to move on to something else.
Could not agree more, my friend, because what we do is hard and it's not always rewarding. And if the rewards come, maybe they're few and maybe they're far between, but without that passion, you just can't keep going. You're absolutely right, Chris.
And I've also learned to diversify myself with guests, topics, but also I'm not just the host, I'm the producer, content creator. I edit video. I try to
Mhm.
learn as much as I can because it makes me more valuable. It doesn't mean I'm going to be the best at 10 things, but it just, you're being diversified really helps you in any career from my perspective.
I could not agree more, Chris. I I book the gigs, I play bass, I compose, I write, I do all kinds of things. Uh, these are the things we need to do in order to make it work.
Mike, thoughts on connections and networking, especially in the music industry?
Sorry, could you repeat the question?
Just thoughts on
Oh,
connections and networking in the music industry specifically.
yeah. We used to say in class, because it was absolutely true, uh, that relationships are everything. Without relationships, in this business in particular, you won't last very long, right? Um, my students always had a challenge with this idea because they always sort of expected that a text message or an email would be good enough to establish a long-term relationship or get a job interview. um, you can imagine, Chris, how many emails people receive on any given day, especially if you're in a position where you can hire people, or if you have great power or influence. There just isn't enough time, and an email, or especially a text message or a DM, uh, doesn't allow you to create those relationships. So my students will say, "Well, then how do you do it then? If I can't send an email and I can't text them, how am I supposed to do it?" There is a place for all of that. I mean, I won't disagree. Um, I think now you need to build relationships by delivering on what you promise.
Absolutely.
Correspondence, yes, deliver, correspond politely and promptly, create value for everybody. Uh, don't enter every situation asking somebody to do something for you. Why don't you try offering something for a change and then see what happens to that relationship when there's some give and take?
I know with us, Mike, you responded to me on Facebook right away. You left me your email address and within hours you wrote me back after I told you a little bit about myself and what I'm doing. And I noticed with a lot of guests I speak to in especially the sports world, professional broadcasters, they trust me enough to give me their number to call them or text them or even have a Zoom call so they can just get to know me better and get a sense of what I'm about. And I'm perfectly fine with that as well.
Yeah, I mean, Chris, you've earned it. I mean, you're obviously building a reputation, and you have one with many people, and they're willing to speak on your behalf too, which is also something important. I mean, your reputation is only good, sometimes as good as what other people will say about you.
And one thing I learned too in the media industry, you're not going to be everybody's cup of tea. So you just don't take it personally and you just focus on keep improving, keep learning, and keep getting better all the time.
Well said, my friend. I totally agree.
Mike, how did you come about starting up your own company, RPM Artist Group, as an owner and president? And what were some of the challenges of starting up your own company?
Chris, the only real challenge was for me to get over the idea that I should just work for myself. That was I had all of the tools, all of the experience, all of the knowledge. I just had to get over it mentally. In other words, because I had been working in the music industry and then working at the college for so long, I sort of became accustomed to having that paycheck show up couple of weeks. You know what I mean? So there's an emotional hurdle that you also have to get through. It takes courage to be able to step out on your own. So I think I had to go through this process, Chris, where I had to take account of everything that I had accomplished up until this point, and I had to put it to the test, right? I've been talking about it and teaching my students how to do it, and I did it when I was at Universal, and now it's time for me to do it. And my only regret, Chris, is that I didn't do it sooner.
I can say the same thing. I didn't start my new career in my own media company until I was 47 because for many years I was kind of complacent in my other career
Right.
and was getting a paycheck every week. And basically, I got a taste of the broadcasting bug from volunteering, and that's what just ignited my passion at the age of 47. But I've had people on my show that have started new careers even older than myself.
Well, I'm same age as you. I'm 53, and this company has been rolling for about 6 months.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you.
Mike, what's the story behind the name of the company, RPM Artist Group? And just tell us a little bit about the branding and marketing aspects.
Sure, sure. So our RPM, that's my initials, number one.
Okay.
And number two, when we're talking about vinyl and we're talking about records, well, if you're old like we are, we know that RPM means revolutions per minute. So I got a little bit of a double meaning there in the name. So that was an easy one. I had that name kind of parked and ready to go for a few years actually. So happy to finally get it going. And you see my logo on the screen there is just that vinyl record,
Record.
something everybody can identify with. And artist group is not something specific. It covers label services. So I will do I can do well. I actually am still doing it. I'm doing marketing. If you're an original artist, I can help you with things like publishing and SOCAN and all of the sort of more elusive, sort of more confusing elements behind the scenes. So I can help you with that. And then the other side is, and this is where Foreigner Meets Journey comes in. This is where I book the theater. So I'm in effect I'm the promoter. So I rent the theater, I pay the musicians, and I also pay for all the marketing.
Mike, how valuable was your experience? I can't pronounce the name of the
Oh, it's Taffel Music. Yeah.
Taffel Music Media as a label manager and as a sales and marketing role at Universal Music Canada. How valuable was those roles into you getting into your own business as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, thank you. That's a great question. So, Universal Music, I worked there in the 2000s. Social media had not really taken a hold. We were still selling a lot of CDs. Digital media was starting to come in, so we weren't as data focused as we were. But at Universal, I learned the nuts and bolts of the old school record business. I was in sales, so I would go and visit my clients every week. Um, we would talk about purchasing, and then we would do marketing to support it, much in the same way I'm doing now, Chris. I'm putting on a show. How do I support it with marketing to sell tickets? Before it was, you know, here's a record. How do I support sales of the record with marketing? It's a fundamental basic idea. Taffel Music was a more recent one for me, and for those of you who don't know, Taffel Music is an orchestra. They're a Baroque orchestra. It's a classical music orchestra in Toronto, and they have a catalog of recordings. And their challenge was they didn't understand their streaming data. So they brought me in to help them understand their streaming data, how much they were paying for it, how much revenue they were making. So it was an opportunity for me to get into the data side of the music industry, which is a whole part of it that most people don't even think about. But the music industry now is extremely data driven, much more than I think most people imagine. So those two experiences allowed me to now look at data, look at marketing, and instead of selling CDs, now I'm selling tickets. So it all kind of came together in one idea.
Mike, thoughts on live streaming now? Obviously, the artists can get their music out or all across the world internationally, but do you feel the artists are still not getting compensated enough for their work?
You know, I want to sort of relay a misconception about this idea that artists are not being compensated, and it can be a difficult thing to unravel in a 45-minute conversation. But let me just say this: S- everyone will say Spotify is not compensating artists. Okay, the labels who own the masters of this music, they license it to Spotify, right? So of every dollar that is made through a stream, 30% of it, give or take 32 cents of every dollar, goes to Spotify. Now, Chris, I don't know about you, but a 32% margin on a dollar is a lot lower than what we pay for a lot of other things in this world. So I'm not a defender of Spotify or any of the streaming services per se, but I think it's just important to realize, okay, that 32 cents of that. So the rest of that money goes somewhere else. And most of it stays with the labels. And the labels are in the business of making money. That is their whole existence. I don't think people should be confused about the idea that the labels are some artistic endeavor. They're not an art gallery. They're not curators. They don't do any of those types of things. They are in it to make money. And whatever sells, they will push. And there's another option for them too. They will push what they think they can sell, which doesn't always work. Okay. So um, those are the two sides. So when you say an artist is not compensated, um, I would go to the label. If I was an artist, that's what I would do. I would say this deal is not good enough, and maybe if you have enough negotiating power, you can negotiate a little bit more for yourself. But Chris, compensation comes from live shows. It doesn't come from streams. So I think as an artist, if you're focused on streams, you're focused in the wrong direction.
Thoughts on the radio industry? Growing up in the 70s, a lot of these foreigners, Journey,
Yeah.
Kiss, and whatever, how they became stars is through the radio industry. Do you feel the radio industry still can help artists become recognized like they were in the past?
I still think radio has a place. Um, I don't think it's commercial radio necessarily. Commercial radio is not always the place to build careers for a young artist. It's just not. Just like a record label, Chris, a radio station, and you're in media, you know this. I mean, Barry Cullen is sponsoring this show, right? Like you need advertisers.
Yep.
Radio needs advertisers. And if people don't listen to the music, they can't, they don't have a rate card. They can't sell advertising to anybody. So radio stations are in the business of making money too, just like labels are, right? So let's not get confused about a radio station being the curator of music. That's not what they do. Okay. So I think radio is now sort of transformed into something else. Maybe it's something like podcasting. Maybe it's still active in online radio. I still think there's a place for that. I still think there's a place for college radio and community radio. NPR in the United States is still one of the largest listened to stations. I know it's talk, but there is a lot of artistic programming being discussed on the station. So I don't think radio is going to go anywhere. You and I know it's not what it was in terms of its influence, but it's still part of the way that we disseminate and talk about arts and entertainment.
Hey, Mike, do you have time to give me 5 extra minutes? Just a couple more questions.
Whatever you need, my friend.
Okay. Have you thought about in the future having writing your own book about your experiences?
The names have been changed to protect the innocent. Yeah, maybe we'll see. I'd like to get more of the final chapters written before I get there. Uh, I think if there was any interest in anybody reading it, then yeah, I would consider it for sure. I have some interesting stories to tell.
What's next on your bucket list?
Ooh, bucket list for me. I would love to be able to say, Chris, that I could hire some of my former students to come work for me. I think that would be brilliant, and then we could just grow it from there. That's a small drop in the bucket list. Um, you know, uh, that's a great question. I think I'm just so focused on day to day. Maybe I don't get too far into the future, but I can at least see far enough to say that um, I would like to be a self-sustaining company um, that has a great reputation, that does great things for artists and for everybody involved. I mean that would be brilliant. I think if I could just bring my entire career together into a successful endeavor.
For those people that are watching our show live or on live stream right now or on audio, and they're interested in your business, what's the best way of for someone to contact you?
You can go to my website. I'm just turning my light down there. You can go to my website, rpmartistgroup.com. You can send me an email, Chris. You have my email too. You can post it. I can put it in the chat here if anybody's interested. It's rpmartistgroup at gmail.com.
And I have it down on the ticker too, by the way.
Right on, man.
I put it on the tech. Try to do that as well. Hey, Mike, before we wrap the show up, can you just tell our audience a little bit of FMJ tribute band, Foreigner Meets Journey, and just a little bit about the band and how it all came about?
Sure. I'd love to finish with a little FMJ plug. Appreciate it, Chris. We're a six-piece band. Recently, I added a second guitar player. His name's Mike Conto, and he sings as well. So now I have two guitars. I have a lead singer. I have two backup vocalists. Um, I have an incredible rhythm section with Tim and myself playing bass, and Ian Judson. He's the person that makes it work because without Ian, there is no band, and he's gonna be like, oh yeah, well you guys are great and everything, but the reality is, Chris, and you and I and everybody know this. You have a great singer, right? You have a great band. If Ian couldn't pull off um, Jukebox Hero and Don't Stop Believing and Separate Ways and Open Arms and all of these things that people love to hear, uh, if you can't pull that off, don't even leave the house. I mean, just don't bother. So we're very very fortunate to have Ian, fronting the band. Um, and Silvio too. You need a hot shot lead guitar player. You need the attitude, you need the chops, you need the stage presence. So, very fortunate to have those guys. It's just a pleasure to be on stage with them whenever we get to go out.
Mike, as we wrap the show up, for our audience that might not have seen you guys perform, I did take some clips and some videos of your performance in Fergus. Is it okay if I air a 1 minute video from the Fergus performance to show our audience? Give them a little
Plug
taste
away,
of your
my
music?
friend. Plug away.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this song is one of my favorite songs from 1977, Cold as Ice. And I got you in the video as well. So just 1 second.
Right on.
I can let them just go. They can't start till I start singing. So. You're as cold as ice. You're willing to sacrifice. You never take advice. Cause someday you'll pay the price.
thoughts on that little clip within in Fergus a couple weeks ago?
I can describe Ian. I can compliment him. I can say how lucky we are to have him. But when you hear it, you know what I'm talking about.
That song and that was terrific. And that song came out in '77, and I went back to it as a 5-year-old child. As a 5-year-old child, I remember my dad or my mom having that music on in our car on the AM FM players, and that just took me back to the 1970s with that song. And that
That's
song
what,
was popular during the winter time too.
yeah, that's what we're trying to do. We're just trying to create positive. Either it's
Memories.
a new memory or it's an old one, right? Like you talked about, you resurrected an old one.
Yeah.
It's a great feeling when we can do that for people, and we collectively experience that. And the power of collectively experiencing it is, that's what's one of the great powers of live music.
Mike, we've got a viewer watching on YouTube. Her name is Janice Stapleton. She says, fabulous questions, brilliant answers, a very interesting interview filled with knowledge, wisdoms, gratitudes, and positive energy. Thank you so much. How satisfying is it when people come up to you and say how much your music impacts them?
Nothing is more satisfying, Chris. That's why we do it. That's the whole reason.
And what made Foreigner and Journey such so successful, legendary bands with their music? What in your opinion?
I think the songs are great. The songs are really good. I mean, Chris, a lot of people take for granted how easy it is to write a good song. It's hard. I mean, I would challenge anybody. I mean, even a dedicated songwriter has to write quite a number of songs to get one that actually works. So the fact that these bands had, so many hits and so many songs to choose from, people know. Chris, I told you, I watched them in the audience. They know every word. Right? I mean, this is not an easy thing to do. So, very very talented songwriting on the part of Neil Sean and Jonathan Cain in Journey. I think these gentlemen need to be mentioned, and Steve Perry always gets mentioned. But Neil Sean and Jonathan Cain. I mean, don't stop believing. I mean, that's Jonathan Cain. He has a huge part to play in the composition. And then Mick Jones and Foreigner, and nobody ever mentions him. I mean, he wrote "I Want to Know What Love Is" and "Waiting for a Girl Like You" and "Cold as Ice," and like this is an extraordinary contribution to pop culture here in Canada and the United States and around the world. I mean, it's hard to write a good song, especially one that endures for 50 years. So songwriting, and great singers, Steve Perry, Lou Gramm. I don't think Lou Gramm gets talked about quite enough. It's very humbling to step into the position of. By the way, Lou Gramm and Steve Perry were very young. They were in their 20s and sometimes into their early 30s when they were singing this music, and it's very challenging. It's very high in the male register, and for Ian to be singing it, and he won't mind me saying he's not 20 something anymore. These singers are legendary in their performances and in their delivery. And last but certainly not least, I mean, the bands are top notch musicians also. So that should not go without saying, but I think it starts with songwriting and great singers, and then just a great collective effort.
What makes a great songwriter in your opinion? And if somebody wants to get in the music industry and they want to write songs, what do you recommend?
I recommend writing as many songs as possible. So if you wanted to come up with an album that had 8 to 10 songs on it, let's say you're going to come up with 10 songs, chances are the first 10 songs you write will not be the songs that make it to that record. It's possible you may have to write 50, 60, 100 songs. It's like anything else in life, Chris. Every time you get on and you interview somebody, I'm sure you feel a little bit better at it. you gain more confidence with your questioning and all of the different things that you do to make this work for the guests and for your audience, right? Same thing goes for songwriting. I mean, they just, you hear stories about singers writing songs and, oh, I wrote that song in 5 minutes. Okay, maybe that can happen, but that doesn't mean they haven't been writing dozens and dozens of songs over many years. It's like anything else, Chris. It's a craft that you need to hone and practice. And then when you write those songs, it's really important to get them in front of an audience, right? Does this translate the same way in my head and in my room as it does in a room with an audience with people listening to it, right? Sometimes you just don't know that a song you wrote is going to impact somebody in a way that it didn't in your own head, right? Maybe you think, oh, this is the best song I've ever written. And you play it for people like, you know what? Why don't you do that other song? You're like, well, I don't really like that song. So there is a give and take between songwriting and your audience.
Absolutely. Hey, Mike, as we wrap this show up, can you just tell us about your recent show at Port Colborne, and if you want to mention some of your upcoming shows this summer as well?
Yeah. So we have a busy month in May. We are at the Marsh Street Community Center. That's in the Collingwood area. By the way, all of our gigs are on our Facebook page, Fordham East Journey, FMJ. And then that's on May the 9th. And then on May the 22nd, we are in Port Perry. That's at the Town Hall Theater. And the night after that, on the 23rd, we're back down near Port Colborne at Amici's Banquet Center. And that's if you feel like you want a little steak and mashed potatoes with your Foreigner Meets Journey, you can come and have a little dinner theater down at Amici's. And all of those links and all of those events with dates are on our Facebook page, FMJ Foreigner Meets Journey.
What's one fun fact about the FMJ tribute band?
Yeah, when I'm just gonna I'm gonna mention the thing that we talked about when we talked in the theater, Chris. Um, we're having so much fun up there. I will sometimes walk over, and we all do it. We walk over to one another, and we have little conversations about things we noticed or things that happened on stage, or sometimes just random things that have nothing to do with really anything. Um, the energy is so great, and we're having such a good time. Um, we're not stiff about it either. This is a rock band after all, right? I mean, this is not. I mean, I love classical music as much as I love jazz or anything else, but this is not a classical concert. It's meant to be professional, but it doesn't necessarily have to be uh, too polite, if you know what I mean. So we have a lot of fun on stage, and you may notice some of it when you see it, but
Yeah.
there are a few things happening between us that sort of stay between us. Let's put it that way.
Chemistry too.
100%.
I saw that when I was there in Fergus a few weeks ago. The chemistry and how you guys work well together.
Yeah, I mean that's something you have to work on over time, and with the right people, and the right energy, and the right atmosphere, and the right audience, and so many things have to come together, Chris. I think when people come to a show and they walk out and they say, "Wow, that was a great show," and they enjoyed it, there are so many different components that go into making a show work, and if you're consistent and you're aware of them, and you make a commitment to delivering these things, you can have a good experience like the one you had.
Absolutely. And finally, this is a new segment on my show as we wrap this up. Mike, ask the host CDP a question. Do you have a question for me before we wrap this up?
Well, I'm going to fire back the tough question you asked me, and that's the bucket list question. What's the bucket list for you, Chris?
Bucket list for me now is to continue to build this brand,
Yeah.
build the brand, market myself, get more advertisers, sponsors on the show, and continue to get great guests such as yourself. This
Thank
is
you.
not work for me. This is a passion. It's the guests that make a great show. And I think my former career in security
Mhm.
prepared me for this. And in security, I had to talk, I had to listen, I
Mhm.
had to have empathy, and I had to think on my feet. And I think that career has kind of prepared me for this, and I want to keep improving, getting better, and getting great guests like yourself, and good
Awesome.
storytelling. Good storytelling, just like what you guys do on the stage, is good storytelling too.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Chris, as a follow up to that, who's the guest you want? Who's the whale?
I've had a lot. I've had the Philly Fanatic on my show, Darren
Yeah,
McCarty, a 4-time Stanley Cup champion. I
yeah.
would say for sports, Steve Eiserman,
Oh yeah,
the Red Wings,
yep.
Isaiah Thomas.
Mm.
Um, I don't. There's a lot of people out there.
Yeah,
I would actually love to have somebody on from Foreigner or her journey as well. So
sure.
somebody from the rock bands. And
Yeah,
and yesterday I had a talented country western singer from Nashville on, Kirsty Krause, and she's got so much talent ahead of her as well. And I love this show because I connect with so many people, and I've now become a country music fan because of my guests. They've told me they shared their stories, and I've listened to their music, and I really enjoy it. So just anyone that wants to come on the show, has a story and career that wants to show it, they're welcome to come on here. But for sports, I would say Steve Eiserman and Isaiah Thomas.
right on. So, any coincidence? They're both Detroit guys.
Yes, I have family that lives in Taylor, Michigan,
Ah,
and
okay.
when I was a young kid in the 70s, they
Hmm.
got me to switch from the Toronto teams to the Red Wings, the Tigers, and Pistons, except the Lions. I never became a Lions fan. I became a Philadelphia Eagles fan because
Yeah.
those fans are as passionate about their teams as I am, and I know Philly fans are hard, but the Philadelphia Eagles. Oh, Jalen Hurts, that's somebody else I would love to have on this show,
Oh,
or
right on.
Maurice, the voice of the Eagles for 50 years. I could probably write a book of who I'd love to have on this show, but I'm just
Mhm.
taking one show, one day at a time approach.
Right on. It's a good way to
So,
live. Hmm.
and Mike, finally, where can our audience follow you on social media? The tribute band, the FMJ tribute band, and again, your website at RPM Artist Group, and the best way of contacting you.
Yeah, RPM Artist Group at gmail.com. I see you're scrolling along there with all the different socials there. I am personally not that active on Facebook. I'm not the person who's going to go on and give you my
Okay.
2 cents about um like I'm active to a point. You're not going to hear me complain about the annoying person at the grocery store. You're not going to hear me rant about politics. You're not going to hear me do or see me do any of those things. I am about promoting my music in my company. I think there are many people out there who do the things I mentioned in a more entertaining fashion than I do. So plus Chris, I have a lot of other places where my time and energy is needed, and socials is just one part of that. So just go there. You'll find everything you want or need to know. And if you need to know more, RPM Artist Group at gmail.com, or you can send me a message just like you would. You could DM me, either on Facebook, yeah, or Instagram even. I check that once in a while.
Well, Mike, I want to say thank you so much for coming on tonight. I apologize for keeping you over 45 minutes, but continued success in your career, and hopefully I'll get to see you guys perform again this summer as well.
That'd be awesome, Chris. And Chris, thank you for having me on. Thank you for coming to see us at Fergus, for supporting us, for sharing your videos, having me on your show. Your optimism and your work ethic, is inspiring to everyone, and I commend you for doing what you're doing.
Well, thank you so much, and hopefully we'll see you again this summer, and you have an open invite to come back on again in the future.
I'd love to.
Thank you so much, Mike. Have a great night.
Thanks, Chris. You too.
All right, everybody, that wraps up season 13, episode 31, overall 691 of Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, brought to you by our friends at Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership, located at 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Auto Mall. Check out their website, barrycullen.com, or give them a call at 519-824-0210 and tell them Chris Palme sent you, or you can email them at info@barrycullen.com. I have another announcement to make too as we wrap up this show. The next Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, again brought to you by BarryCullen.com, is going to take place on Wednesday, April 15th at 7 p.m. Eastern with special guest Danny Spiro, a Nashville country music recording artist with his newest single, Hating Your Name. So Danny Spiro will be back on again. He's also a big sports fan, and he also has family in London, Ontario. So I'm looking forward to having Danny Spiro on and talk about his latest new single, Hating Your Name, as well. And as we wrap up the show, guys, I have another announcement to make too. Tomorrow night's a big event for the Cambridge District Humane Society, which I will be a part of. So if you'd still like to go to this event, the Cambridge District Humane Society on Saturday, April 11th, 2026, which is tomorrow, from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. at the Cambridge Newfoundland Club, is located at 1500 Dunbar Road in Cambridge, Ontario. They're having their Prohibition Speakeasy fundraising event. Tickets are still available, $75 per ticket, and the money goes back to the programs at the Cambridge District Humane Society. And you can purchase your tickets at cambridgehumanesociety.org, or you can give them a call at 519-623-7722 extension 0. Ask for Zach or Kat to purchase your tickets via phone, or you can pop by the Cambridge District Humane Society at 1650 Dunbar Road in Cambridge, Ontario, and see Kat or Zach as well. And at the last minute, if you're a business or a company and would like to donate a prize for their silent auction, please email me as soon as possible, cpalme19@gmail.com, or contact Zach or Kat at the Cambridge District Humane Society as well. They're going to have, tomorrow night, they're going to have some refreshments, they're going to have some appetizers, and they're going to have a live band and a silent auction. So I will be there from 7 to 11 tomorrow night at the Cambridge Newfoundland Club, which is not far from the Cambridge Humane Society. And I'm looking forward to this event. They've put a lot of work and effort into it. And right now, I believe they sold over 150 tickets. So anybody out there that would like to attend this event tomorrow night, go to cambridgehumanesociety.org or pop by the Humane Society tomorrow morning and get your tickets. And tickets will still be available at the door. So if you're one of those last minute people that wants to come out, there'll be somebody at the Newfoundland Club at about 6:30, 6:45 to sell you tickets as well. And speaking of Cambridge District Humane Society, if you're looking to adopt a pet, check out the Cambridge District Humane Society's website, cambridgehumanesociety.org. All the animals that are up for adoption, their profiles are on cambridgehumanesociety.org. And today, Opie was adopted and went home, and recently Daisy and Christopher, who had been down there for a while as well. So if you're looking to adopt a pet, check out the Cambridge District Humane Society. And at the Cambridge District Humane Society, you can't buy happiness, but you can adopt it. And a big shout out to Michelle and their staff for doing great work with looking after our homeless animals and making sure they get adopted into good families and good homes. So again, check out the Cambridge District Humane Society website, cambridgehumanesociety.org. And as we wrap up the show, guys, it is Truck Month at Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership. 0% financing for 72 months. For more details, visit the dealership at 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Automall, or call 519-824-0210, or email them at info@barrycullen.com. By the way, I am now on Cameo. If you'd like a personalized video message from yours truly, CDP, go to cameo.com. Type in Chris Palme. I do happy birthday, happy Hanukkah, happy anniversary, congratulations, anything within reason. And I look forward to your requests on cameo.com. You can also follow me on Blue Sky Social. Blue Sky Social is what Twitter used to be. So go to Blue Sky Social at Live with CDP19. I do post a lot of content there as well. Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, again, is live streamed on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, X, Twitch, LinkedIn, and now available on Instagram. I am working and hoping to have this show on TikTok very soon. Speaking of my social media, you can also check out my website. I've revamped it, beacons.ai/Chris D. Palme, and you can check out some of my short and long interviews on beacons.ai/Chris D. Palme, and you can find all my media work and all my social media sites there as well. Again, Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show is brought to you by the folks at Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership, again at 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph, Ottawa. Check out their website, barrycullen.com, or give them a call at 519-824-0210. You can also follow this full-time content creator on TikTok at Chris Palme. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. StreamYard is the official live stream provider of Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show. If you're into webinars, live streaming, or podcasting, go to StreamYard.com. They have basic free plans, paid professional plans like I have. And if you're a business that does a lot of webinars, go to StreamYard.com and contact your sales department for pricing there as well. Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, the audio version is on iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Spotify for podcasters, Apple Podcasts, Breaker, Pocket Casts, Spotify, Castbox, LinkedIn, Pandora, Tuned In, YouTube Music, and Good Pods. Please remember to subscribe, like, and share. And I want to say thank you to 80 countries around the world for listening to this show. And I just recently hit over 11,000 listens and downloads on Spotify. So thank you to the audience for listening to this show, and to those watching on my live stream platforms as well. Really appreciate everybody's support in watching this show, and I've been very fortunate with getting a lot of great guests as well. And finally, guys, you can email the show, Live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, at cpalme19@gmail.com. Any comments, questions, suggestions, feedback would be greatly appreciated. And also, I am on PayPal. If you'd like to support my YouTube channel and my media work, you can PayPal me at paypal.com at Chris Palme as well. And finally, you guys can follow me on Facebook, Threads, Instagram, LinkedIn, Blue Sky Social, everywhere except Snapchat. And also make sure you subscribe, like, and share my YouTube channel, Chris Palme, Live with CDP Talk Show. I also have a YouTube Shorts there as well. So please make sure you check out my content on my YouTube channel as well. And that is about it for tonight's show, guys. I want to say thank you to my guest, Mike Pelletier, president and owner of RPM Artist Group and a member of the FMJ tribute band Foreigner and Journey. So this summer, make sure you check them out on Facebook. And they do have a website, fmjband.ca, I believe. I do have the right links down here as well. So please check them out. They do a really great job in honoring Foreigner and Journey, and they have such great chemistry together as well. And I'm looking forward to hopefully this summer seeing them perform again as well. And let's see, I got some more comments here. Let's see. We will find you people. That was extremely enjoyable. Thank you from a longtime fan of FMJ. Well, thank you for watching. And Mike Pelletier, I consider a friend of mine, even though I've only known him for 3 weeks, and he makes a great guest. And it's the guests that make a great show. So thank you for watching as well. And I want to say thank you to Janice Stapleton for your comments and for watching as well. And before we wrap up the show, guys, we got Major League Baseball tonight. The Detroit Tigers are back in action tonight against the Miami Marlins. The Tigers are coming off a 4-game sweep by the Minnesota Twins, so the Tigers are 4-9. So hopefully the Tigers can turn it around with a game against Minnesota or Miami, the Miami Marlins. And the Detroit Pistons are back in action tonight. The Pistons are coming off a big win the other night and the return of Cade Cunningham. The Pistons are 58-21, and they're taking on Charlotte tonight as well. And the Red Wings are back in action tomorrow night against New Jersey at Little Caesars Arena. The Red Wings are still alive. They won 6-3 last night against Philly at Little Caesars Arena. So the Red Wings basically need to win their last 3 games and have Ottawa and a couple other teams lose as well. So I don't like their chances, but they're still mathematically alive for a playoff spot as well. And that is about it, guys. I want to say thank you again to Mike Pelletier for coming on here, and I want to thank you, the audience, and of course my sponsor advertiser, Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership, as well. I hope everybody has a great night, great weekend, and we'll see you back here on Wednesday, April 15th at 7 p.m. with Nashville country music recording artist superstar Danny Sparrow. And we're going to talk about his latest single, Hating Your Name. So thank you so much, everybody. And we'll talk to you soon.